What's up YouTube, Kronos here, and welcome back to another PSO2 guide video. So in today's video, we're going to talk about units. I did kind of one of these videos beforehand where I did kind of the meta weapons analysis where I talked about all the different weapons. That video should be going up, today is the 3rd, it's really early in the morning right now, like 3 a.m. I'll be going to bed after this is done because I have to work tomorrow, but that video should come out. The meta weapons analysis will come out tomorrow on the 4th, and then this will come out on the 5th, so got a little bit of staggered content to go out for the next couple days. And then I'll have a few days to figure out what I'm going to do after that. But anyway, we are looking at units today. So I did do the meta weapons analysis before this patch, and then I'm doing one after the patch as well. So I'll be dating these as I do them because new weapons will come out, and I'm sure every time a new set comes out, people are going to ask about it. But early on, this isn't as obvious in some situations. Later on, it gets really obvious where it's just like, hey, just go with what you want specifically for units or weapon setups and things of that sort. And like some of them are just going to be substantially better than others. You'll be able to tell by just looking at the wiki. So don't worry too much. It'll get easier as we move along, but I do want to go ahead and pass on some information about things that'll be useful not only now, but moving forward, because so those moments where it's like, dude, I totally said this was going to happen, and then it basically just happened. So with the PC release, I have to say a small prayer. We have a moment of silence. With the PC release of PSO2 on the North American servers, as difficult as that's been for some people, I apologize for you guys who have been having those difficulties. It did release a new set of units. Now, it only released one set of units to my knowledge, and it's the only ones that we really care about, to be honest. If there are any other ones, it doesn't really matter. These units do not have a set effect. We already have 12-star units. The game's been out for about 2 months if we count the open beta release, where our 11-star units were useful and they were expensive, and you affix them. And to be perfectly honest, they're pretty much almost worthless if you can get a hold of these Ray units, because Ray units just have more use overall. They'll be upgradable into another type of units you'll find out later called Union units. If you watched the weapons or the meta weapons analysis, the most recent one, from the 27th, it will show that you have Ray weapons and Union weapons. Those upgrades aren't as substantial, where you're looking at something like these units will be when you're looking at Ray units and Union units. So they don't have a set bonus because each of these units have their own stats they come with by default. So technically the arms do have a set effect, but it's like 60 dexterity, so it doesn't really matter. And for those of you who don't know what Dex actually does in the game, all of your damage has a damage range. Dexterity reduces the lower end of the damage range, so not really all that useful. But these units, pretty crazy good, right? So let's talk about them. So previously, we're gonna actually take a step back, and we're gonna pop over to the set effects. Previously, the units that people tend to take a look at for the most part were a few different sets. We had the Gemini set, which was just the arms and the legs. You would pair these usually with like the Whitetail Wing or the P drive. This was mostly the defensive setup. Gave you a good chunk of HP and a good chunk of PP to work with. And then of course the Whitetail Wing would give you an extra set of PP. So decent amount, a little bit more defensive, didn't have to augment defenses. A lot of people recommended the Psyche set, and granted, it was relatively expensive. I was having a difficult time explaining to people why this really wasn't that useful, because you're not really going to use them a lot moving forward. And now with the Ray weapons releasing, and I'm sorry, the Ray units releasing, even the crafted version of these, I really don't see using that much moving forward. It's going to be like a transitional thing at best, and it's just not worth the money you're going to invest into them. So if you have a pair, you affix them very lightly. It's not the end of the world, but you're pretty much going to transition right out of these. So these would give us 25 PP. They give 150 HP just from the units itself. Each unit gives 50 HP and 60 all attack. Greasy units were another option if you didn't need as much PP. You got a little bit, I believe it was a little less HP. Hang on. 40, 40, 40. I can't math. 40, 40, 80 plus 40 is 120 plus 80 is 200. So actually, no, it's a bit more HP. So it's more HP overall and a bit less PP, because you only got 5 from the set bonus, and then 5 from each of the units would put you at 20, but you got more attack. So it wasn't that much less PP really. Honestly, I would have probably gone Brisa over Psyche personally, just because it was the tankier option and it was a bit less PP, but more damage if you really cared about that. This was what a lot of people were using, which were, if you had the money for it, which are still relatively decent. They're still very strong for a 2 set piece bonus and a 4 set piece if you're going to, pigeonhole yourself into those weapons. But the weapons have been outclassed. These units have been outclassed, and right now they're selling for like 15 mil like each unit on ship 2, which they aren't really worth it. I'm not going to go into the exact of everything this is because it's kind of complicated to add everything up, but you can see each of the weapons or each of the units give you. The units are a 2-piece set bonus for the arms and legs here, and then you have another 2-piece set bonus for the back and the weapon. So these were fairly expensive. I mean, some of these weapons were going for upwards of 70 to 80 mil, over 100 mil in some cases. And this is why I decided not to invest in these, because now they've been outclassed by a set of units that you can get not only via RNG by farming ultimate quests, but you can actually get them for just doing urgent quests. You get a new weapon badge, the unique weapon badge 2s. If you farm up enough of them, granted, it's kind of a little bit of a long farm, but over time you're going to get these badges, and for every 200 of them, you get a unit guaranteed. You can pick a unit out. I have been farming unique weapon badges kind of on the side, not like every single day, hardcore every single urgent quest, but just whenever I can get to them, I've been farming them, and I'm already at 200. I got one drop, I'm at 200. I'm just waiting for the second drop to hopefully not be a duplicate, and I'll buy the last one, and then bam, I already have my unit set. And then those units are going to upgrade into union units, which are going to get even better. And the best part about them, if you guys remember the Psyche set bonus, which gave you 150 PP or 150 HP, 25 PP, and 60 all attack, the Ray gives you 50 HP, 9 PP, and 25 all attack. Meaning you get 150 HP, which is on par with the Psyche, 27 PP, which is more than the Psyche, and 75 all attack, which is more than the Psyche, which is not a ton more, but it is way cheaper. Now, granted, you also have to keep in mind that technically I believe these units are sellable and people are selling them for a ridiculous price. So it does bear the mind that, hey, what if I just sold these units? You could make some money, but not only are they useful here, if you guys watch the weapons video, I actually did this over on JP too, you can also make use of them moving forward. So a lot of JP players are doing, and even myself, when I go to affix something, I'm going to actually affix these units relatively decently, because I'll be able to hold on to them for a good chunk of the game, through most of the content, through episode 4 and through episode 5, even going in towards the very beginning of episode 6, where we start to get 13-star units, because they're upgradable. So I'm going to actually show you guys these 12-star units, if this will load for us. So we're going to go down to Ray units. Ray units are 12 stars. So we have Ray right here, right? So 50, 9, 25. Upgrading them gives us a bit more HP. So it's not super make or break, don't get me wrong, but it does give us 25 HP on each unit, which is pretty useful. It lets us know kind of what to work around with. So the extra HP is pretty nice. And if you get into a situation where you really don't need all that much HP, later on down the line, there's units like this that'll start to pop up that you can start subbing out a unit or two that has a bit more damage and a bit more PP with less HP. So it's kind of one of those things where you can invest into these and they will be relatively useful for you moving forward, without having to worry too much about losing in your investments. Now, these 12-star units don't have set bonuses, just they give you raw stats. It's just the combination of all of them together give you some pretty decent stat bonuses. So this is kind of what I was explaining beforehand when I said don't invest too hardcore into these units, because you'll replace them. All those affixing that was done, or a lot of the affixing that was done on the previous unit set, in a lot of cases, it's just money lost. If you guys ever want an idea of what's to come, now granted, I wouldn't jump into this too much. This is on the JP version of the website, which you can get to by just clicking on the Vision phone. It shows JP Wiki. You can get an idea of what's to come, right? You can see a lot of these units. You have a little bit more HP, you have a little bit more PP, and a little bit less attack, right? You have these here that have a bit more, or have no HP, have just tech attack and PP that are pretty substantial. Like some of these units we're going to get later on down the line, like this might be one of the units I actually end up subbing in, which is, 40 all attack, which is pretty strong, 50 HP and 10 PP. I'll maybe make one of these to sub in just for a bit more damage. But in reality, it's not a huge deal, because eventually moving in these 12-star units, we're going to move into 13-star units. And that's where the real big damage bonuses are going to come in. Well, a lot of these units that are end up useful, these are set bonus units that really don't count that much. But a lot of these other units that end up being pretty substantial. You're looking at 40 HP, 10 PP, and 90 all attack with just this one unit. When before we were looking at 25% all attack or 25 all attack. It gets pretty big, guys, and it's a really, really big difference of what you're looking at. So you don't want to invest too hardcore into something that you're not going to use moving forward. These units here, this Circa Ray unit, I can get away with fixing because it'll upgrade into this Union unit. And when it upgrades, it keeps all my affixes. So it's not like I've lost any time or any money in that process itself. It keeps everything. And I'll pretty much crutch these for most of the expansion. Now, granted, I will be able to get more damage at getting a little upgrades here and there, but it'll be worth it for me just to hold on to these. Now, I kind of feel like I'm beating a dead horse. It makes sense to you guys, hopefully now at this point. If you guys have any questions, feel free to toss them in the comments below. I'm going to try to work on making more videos similar to this, where I kind of talk about little individual things, ideas that I've had as a JV player that I've seen that are super, super useful for me personally. Don't freak out if you can't get a hold of these units super, super early on. It's meant to be a bit of a grind. You get a hold of them as you're moving forward. You'll eventually get them itself. You'll get into ultimates and you'll grind them out. And sometimes you'll get lucky and sometimes you might not. You might be one of those people that have to grind 600 badges. You may be someone who doesn't have to grind any badges. You get all 3 of them. I know people that have all their units today because they've been grinding for the past couple of days. So they lucked out and get drops and happen to actually get the units. You can see right here, Rising Weapon Badge 2. And also from Anga. Anga comes from the ultimate quests that are level 70. I'm sorry, level 70 to do them, level 80 mobs. So they're relatively tough. They're pretty tanky. So if you guys have any questions, toss them in the comments below. If you have any other suggestions, feel free to toss those in the comments as well. I'm making these videos primarily because they've been requested a lot, actually. So I do read your comments and things like that. Hopefully this is the type of video you guys are looking for. If you do like the video, go ahead and toss it a like. It does help for the algorithm. For some reason, YouTube loves that stuff. Subscribe if you want to keep up with more of this content. Again, I'm going to try to release more content similar to this moving forward and possibly dabble into solos a bit more than I did on the JP servers, and maybe get those recorded for you guys to see what a average player looks like instead of a godlike player all the time, because I am nowhere near those guys. So you'll know it's okay not to be the absolute best. And yeah. Maybe I should stop rambling now. I could ramble for another 5. I'm just joking. Thanks for hanging out to the end of the video, guys. Take care and see you all in the next one.